When I was young, my childhood was perfect. I was fortunate to be raised in an environment where I was valued and appreciated because my parents were very loving, understanding, and caring. My family came from a line of successful real estate moguls. My grandparents owned a very large housing company, and it was passed down to my father and will soon be in my hands. All my life, I was trained to live my life as my parents did. As young as I was, my parents taught me how to do business, how to deal with finances, marketing, and investments. My mind was so centered on business. On top of that, my family also has lots of businesses other than real estate. My grandmother was an educator and she owns a share in different top universities in the world. Many people would say that I have a perfect life, but despite the wealth and comfortable life that I have, my parents never raised me to become spoiled. Even though they want me to thrive in the same field as them, they also encourage me to seek individuality and growth by pursuing my passion and the things I like. But it just happens that I do love business and I pictured myself becoming a successful businesswoman. On top of that, I grew up in a very healthy environment where words of affirmation and wisdom are very much abundant. My mother Maria always advised me to be empathetic and generous towards others. I could still remember one of the most significant conversations that we have that altered my perception of life. Mom, why is it essential for me to be humble despite our wealth? I asked her as she was brushing my hair softly. She smiled at me. It was so genuine that I could even feel my heart melting. Oh, my dear Sophia, humility is a virtue that brings grace to every aspect of our lives. Our wealth is a gift, but it doesn't define who we are as individuals. By being humble, we show appreciation for our blessings and acknowledge that others' worth is not measured by their possessions. She said it in the sweetest tone. I nodded in agreement. I understand, Mom, but won't people think I'm weak if I don't assert myself? She cleared her throat, put down the brush, and held my shoulders while looking at my reflection intently as she said these words full of wisdom. Not at all, my love. Humility isn't a weakness, it's a strength that sets you apart. It shows that you have the wisdom to recognize the contributions of others and the empathy to understand their struggles. When you treat people with humility, you gain their respect and build genuine connections. So, being humble helps me build a better relationship with others? She nodded and smiled at me once again. Absolutely. People are naturally drawn to those who treat them with kindness and respect. It creates an atmosphere of trust and openness, allowing you to form meaningful connections with others. Remember, true friendships are built on mutual understanding and care. I held her hands resting on my shoulders. I rubbed it gently, feeling her. Thank you for sharing this with me, Mom. I promise to carry these values with me and be mindful of my actions. She smiled proudly at me once again. I have no doubt that you will, my dear, and never forget the power of hard work. Our wealth may offer opportunities, but it's your determination and effort that will pave the way to success. Don't shy away from challenges. Embrace them with enthusiasm and do whatever you want to do. Live your life according to your terms. I will, Mom. I'll work hard to achieve my goals and make you proud. I'm already proud of you, Sophia. Your kind heart and eagerness to learn are the greatest gifts any parent could wish for. Remember, no matter what heights you reach, stay true to yourself and always remain humble. I will, Mom. Thank you for being such a wonderful guide in my life. And thank you for being the light of my life. I love you, my dear. She extended her hands for a hug. "I love you too, Mom." And I hugged her so tight. My mom was an integral part of my life, and she molded me to become who I am today. I never heard her get angry at me. She never yelled harshly or scolded me. But instead, she talked to me with love and respect. I loved her so much that it took me many years to recover from her sudden death. Her illness crept in and took over her body. I was 13 at that time, and I couldn't see myself without my mother. And when the doctors declared that she was dead, the entire hospital saw how bad my breakdown was. I cried and cried that I even wanted to hug my mother's dead body. I was so devastated. I felt like my world crumbled. But I listened to her. All of her advice, I kept them alive in my heart. I followed what she said. I humbled myself and I started to give out to people resources and my gift. I lived my life according to my plans, with my mother's life anchoring me. I love her so much, so I decided to study hard and make a name for myself. As I grew older, I saw the value of a career. My father immersed me in his life, our life as businessmen. And as I grew older and as I lived out my life in the serene beauty of the province, I had never given much thought to pursuing higher education. My family's real estate business provided stability and comfort, making me feel that my future was already set in stone. The idea of college seemed unnecessary, and I was content managing our family's affair in the tranquil surroundings of our hometown. So, as soon as I graduated high school, I started to focus my attention, exert all my efforts on my business. In the business field, there was no discrimination. They won't criticize me for having no degree. It was all about determination and hard work. However, life has its way of presenting us with unexpected opportunities and challenges. As I watched the real estate market evolve and new possibilities arise, I felt an undeniable urge to explore the vast potential of the city. The decision to move away from the familiar surroundings of my upbringing was daunting, but I knew deep down that I wanted to make a mark beyond the boundaries of my provincial haven. It became my safe space for so long, and I feel like it's giving me the comfort to not seek growth. I also want to outgrow my childhood and start living life as an adult. Also, I decided that when I move to the new city, I won't use any of my family's influence to my advantage, but instead I will start everything from scratch and make my way to the top through my efforts. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, I ventured into the city eager to carve out a new path for myself and my family's real estate business. Little did I know that this change would not only alter my professional trajectory but also introduce me to someone who would turn my life upside down. I was establishing my life in the city when I met my husband. His name was James, and he was a man of prestige, holding a coveted master's degree from none other than Harvard. We met through a business meeting. He was a business degree holder, and I was pitching for my real estate business that day. We find each other close immediately. We talk about business until it became sweeter. Our conversations were low-key flirting, and I felt giddy every time we made eye contact. And with no further ado, after 2 months of talking and courting, we started dating. At first glance, he appeared impressive and refined, but it wasn't long before I glimpsed the darker shades of his character. James exuded an air of arrogance, often looking down upon those he deemed inferior to him. I could still remember how badly he talked about his one co-worker.
"Can you believe John's audacity to think he can compete with me in the business world? He's nothing more than a mediocre entrepreneur completely out of his league."
I was shocked by his sudden remarks. "James, that's a harsh thing to say. John is trying his best just like everyone else. We should respect his efforts and hard work. He laughed at me as if I said something funny.
Respect for someone who's not cut out for this industry? Spare me, Sophia. Respect is earned, not handed out like candy to anyone who decides to play in the big leagues.
But everyone deserves some respect regardless of their success or failures. We shouldn't judge others based on their achievements alone. He laughed condescendingly again.
Oh, Sophia, you're too naive sometimes. In the real world, it's survival of the fittest. If John can't keep up, he will be crushed. It's as simple as that.
I struggled to find the right words. I never expected him to act like this, and I don't like the way he is speaking. I grew up in a loving family, so words of insults are overwhelming for me. James, I don't agree with you. Success should not come at the cost of belittling others. We can be successful without being arrogant.
Oh, you just don't understand how the business world works, do you? It's not about being nice or humble. It's about being ruthless and assertive. Are you dumb?
I felt my heart break. No, James, I refuse to accept that. I believe in being ambitious and driven, but not at the expense of kindness and compassion. There is a way to succeed without tearing others down.
Suit yourself, Sophia, but mark my words, those who are weak will always be left behind.
I don't see strength in arrogance, James. True strength lies in lifting others, not pushing them down.
Whatever. You can believe what you want, but it won't change how the world works.
Maybe not, but it can change how we approach it. I choose to be respectful and understanding even in a competitive world.
Suit yourself then, but don't come crying to me when your nice guy attitude gets you nowhere.
I won't, James, because I know that kindness and humility will take me farther than arrogance ever will. The initial attraction soon gave way to a turbulent relationship. Behind closed doors, James would unleash his true colors, belittling me and anyone he considered beneath him. But I try to understand him. He sometimes listens to me and changes his attitude, but from time to time, his arrogance would prevail. But I love him as my partner, so when he proposed to me, I said yes. However, everything went worse as soon as we got married. He would always degrade me because I didn't study college and because I was dumb and stupid. His favorite weapon was the lack of a college degree, using it as a tool to demean and undermine my accomplishments in the real estate business. Despite my achievements and the success I had earned through my hard work and dedication, James insisted that without a degree, I was nothing. So the emotional abuse took a toll on my self-esteem, leaving me questioning my worth and decisions. But I stayed, hoping that love could overcome the darkness that loomed over us. Unfortunately, love alone couldn't fix the shattered trust caused by his infidelity, a hurtful pattern I discovered repeated several times. One fateful night, his insults reached an unbearable crescendo, cutting through me like a knife. In a moment of defiance, I responded with sarcasm, asking him, "Are you sure?" The weight of my question lingered in the air, creating a rift that would soon widen beyond repair. "James, I can't believe you're still treating me like I'm nothing just because I don't have a degree."
Oh, come on, Sophia. You know very well that a degree holds value in the real world. It opens doors and provides credibility.
I have worked hard in the real estate business and my success speaks for itself. I don't need a piece of paper to prove my worth.
Oh, success? Please, you're just dumb.
My tears fell from my cheeks. That's not fair, James. I have put in the effort to learn, grow, and build this business.
It's cute how you try to justify your lack of education, but let's face it, without a degree, you will always be playing catch up.
You don't understand the passion and dedication I have for this business. You keep belittling me, but you forget that we were once partners, supporting each other. My entire body was trembling in pain. I don't know him anymore.
Partners, you were just lucky to have me by your side. Without my advice and guidance, you wouldn't have achieved half of what you did.
Your ego knows no bounds, James. You used to inspire me, but now all you do is tear me down.
Oh, poor Sophia, the delicate soul who couldn't handle a little criticism.
This isn't criticism. It's cruelty. You're not the person I fell in love with anymore.
Well, maybe you're right. Maybe I've outgrown you and your small town ambitions.
Fine. If that's how you feel, maybe it's time we go our separate ways. I deserve someone who respects and supports me.
Suit yourself. You'll soon realize you'll be nothing without me.
No, James. I'll be everything I need to be. Strong, capable, and free from your toxic influence. Little did he know about the old money background I hailed from, as I had chosen not to flaunt my family's wealth or social standing. The following day, I confided in my grandmother, who held a prestigious position as the chancellor of Harvard University. Her wisdom and influence were unmatched, and I sought her help to free myself from the clutches of an abusive relationship. With a heavy heart, I revealed the painful truth about my marriage to James and the emotional torment I had endured. My grandmother, a fierce protector of her family, took immediate actions. She wielded her power discreetly, ensuring that James's records at Harvard were revoked, rendering his precious degree meaningless. Without the golden ticket that once defined him, James's life spiraled into chaos. He lost his job, his reputation was tarnished, and he found himself facing the consequences of his actions. My revenge wasn't a vindictive scheme. It was an act of self-preservation, breaking free from a toxic cycle that threatened to consume me. As the dust settled, I found solace in my real estate business, which flourished in the absence of James's negativity. My passion and drive for success grew exponentially, and I embraced my independence with newfound appreciation. Beyond my professional achievements, I embarked on a journey of personal growth. I sought healing through therapy, surrounded myself with a supportive network of friends and mentors, and focusing on nurturing my passions, including painting. Art became a medium through which I expressed my emotions, and I held an exhibition that not only showcased my talent, but also raised awareness about the plight of emotional abuse survivors. As the years passed, I transformed from a wounded soul into a woman with strength, resilience, and self-love. My real revenge was not in destroying James, but in rising above his toxicity, reclaiming my identity, and embracing my worth as more than just a degree or title. Today, I stand tall, a testament to the power of resilience and the triumph of the human spirit. My Harvard graduate husband may have once claimed that I was nothing without him, but I have proven that I am everything I need to be. A woman who holds her head high, unshaken by the judgment of others, and fiercely committed to creating her destiny. The road to recovery was not without its challenges, but with each step, I felt stronger and more determined than ever before. Embracing my worth and shedding the shackles of James's abuse became a personal crusade, not just for me but also for others who might be facing similar struggles. Drawing from my own experience, I decided to establish a foundation to support survivors of emotional abuse. I named it Rise Above, a symbol of empowerment, resilience, and triumph over adversity. Through the foundation, we offered counseling, legal assistance, and financial support to those in need. I knew that I couldn't undo the pain I endured, but I could make a difference in the lives of others. As the foundation gained momentum, the media caught wind of our cause, and I found myself sharing my story publicly. It was both liberating and terrifying, bearing my soul to the world. However, I realized that my vulnerability was a source of strength, and my willingness to speak out inspired countless others to find their voices. One particular interview caught the attention of a prominent publisher who saw the potential for a powerful memoir. With the opportunity to share my journey on a broader scale, I decided to write a book. It was a cathartic experience, revisiting the darkest moments of my past while also celebrating the resilience that carried me through. The memoir, titled Beyond Degrees, became a bestseller, resonating with readers around the world. Its message of hope and empowerment struck a chord with countless individuals who had endured their battles with abuse, academic pressure, or societal expectations. The success of the book opened new doors for me, allowing me to speak at conferences, seminars, and workshops where I shared my story as a motivational speaker. As the years passed, Rise Above flourished, and the foundation's impact grew exponentially. The support it provided transformed lives, and I reveled in the knowledge that my pain had not been in vain. The royalties from my book and speaking engagement further fueled the case, allowing us to expand our reach and help more survivors reclaim their lives. Beyond the foundation's success, my real estate business continued to thrive, reaching unprecedented heights. With a newfound sense of purpose and self-assurance, I spearheaded innovative projects that brought immense success, earning recognition and accolades in the industry. Amidst it all, I found love again, genuine, tender, and respectful. Chris, an architect with a heart of gold, walked into my life unexpectedly. He showed me what true love meant, supporting my endeavors and encouraging me to be the best version of myself. Together, Chris and I dedicated ourselves to philanthropy, combining our resources to create positive change in the world. We supported causes dear to both our hearts, leaving behind a legacy of compassion and empowerment. Looking back, I realized that my journey was not just about revenge or liberation. It was about transformation and embracing the person I had always been, even when others failed to see it. I discovered that my value wasn't tied to titles or degrees, but rather to the love and compassion I shared with others, the impact I made on lives, and the resilience that allowed me to rise above challenges. Today, I stand tall, not as a victim or a survivor, but as a conqueror of my destiny. My Harvard graduate husband once told me that I was nothing without him, but he couldn't have been more wrong. I am everything I need to be and more, a beacon of hope, a champion of self-worth, and a testament to the strength of the human spirit. In the end, I found that the most profound revenge was not in seeking retribution against James, but in becoming the person he could never comprehend. A woman who had turned her pain into power, her scars into stars, and her past into the foundation of a brighter future for herself and others. My name is Lucy, and I'm in my 40s now. This is a story about the biggest drama of my life, which happened decades ago, but almost scarred me forever. It all began when I was 23 years old, in my senior year of college, living with my parents and sister. Life was cruising along, and I thought I had everything figured out. I was dating Luke, a charming guy with a heartwarming smile, and my best friend was none other than my neighbor, Amanda. We had been inseparable since we were in diapers, sharing countless memories and secrets. Luke's parents and my parents were friends since college, and they were really good friends with Amanda's parents too. It really felt like I was surrounded by love. Then, everything took a turn I never saw coming. Amanda dropped a bombshell on me when she said that she was pregnant. I was shocked and confused, not knowing who the father was. But to my surprise, Amanda was adamant about keeping the identity of the father a secret. It hit me like a tidal wave of emotions, and my mind filled with 1,000 questions. How could she keep something like this from me, her best friend? As the days turned into weeks, I watched Amanda wrestle with the weight of her secret. I wanted to support her, but the uncertainty gnawed at me. I couldn't help but wonder if I should press her for answers or give her the space she seemed to need. At the same time, my relationship with Luke also suffered under the strain of Amanda's secret. Doubts and insecurities crept into my mind, poisoning my trust in him. I found myself questioning everything, wondering if he knew more than he let on. Luke noticed the change in my behavior, but I couldn't bring myself to confide in him about Amanda's situation. Days turned into weeks, and the tension between Amanda and me grew. Our conversations became strained and superficial. I felt like I was losing her bit by bit, and it tore me apart. Still, I was determined to be there for Amanda every step of the way during her pregnancy. I knew that true friendship meant standing by her side through thick and thin. So I was going with her to the doctor's appointment, helping her set up the nursery, and providing a listening ear whenever she needed to talk. As the due date approached, Amanda's nervousness and excitement were palpable. We prepared for the big day together, sharing laughter and anticipation amid the anxiety. I felt a sense of pride knowing that I was there for her during such a significant moment in her life. Then came the day of childbirth, and everything changed. I was at Amanda's side, holding her hand and trying to soothe her as she endured the pain of labor. Finally, she gave birth to a beautiful girl. In that tense and emotional moment, Luke showed up unexpectedly. His sudden appearance caught me off guard, but what he said next shook me to the core. Luke confessed that he was the baby's father. The weight of his words crashed over me like a tidal wave, drowning me in disbelief and heartbreak. It was as if the world had flipped upside down. My mind raced with a mix of emotions, anger, betrayal, and sadness. How could Luke keep this from me all along? How could Amanda do this to our friendship? I tried my best to hold back the tears, but it was nearly impossible. At that moment, I had to face the painful truth. The people I trusted and loved had betrayed me in the worst way possible. I had lost not only my best friend, but also the person I thought I was going to spend my life with. After the birth, I decided that I needed a fresh start, a way to heal and rebuild my life away from the heartache. I made a life-changing decision to pursue another degree in a different state. It was a chance to distance myself from the painful reminders of what once was. I knew that cutting all contact with Amanda and Luke was necessary for my own healing. It wasn't an easy choice, but I needed the space and time to mend my broken heart. I left without saying goodbye, without explaining my reasons, and without looking back. In the new place, I threw myself into my studies and embraced the opportunity to rediscover who I was outside of those relationships. Over time, the pain began to ease and I started to heal. I made new friends, formed new bonds, and learned to trust again, although cautiously. Life has a strange way of leading us down unexpected paths. While I can't deny the hurt and heartache I experienced, I also recognize the resilience I gained through that journey. It may have been the biggest drama of my life, but it taught me invaluable lessons about the strength to move forward. Being away from home turned out to be a turning point in my life. I met George, and little did I know that he would become the love of my life. We hit it off instantly, and as time passed, our connection deepened. After a year of being together, we tied the knot and it felt like a dream come true. We had a really intimate wedding, and although my parents were invited, I made sure to let them know that Luke and Amanda were not. I didn't want to hear or see them in any way, and George supported that. Our marriage was filled with happiness, and we built a strong foundation based on love, trust, and understanding. George was my rock. We navigated life's ups and downs together, supporting each other every step of the way. With stable jobs after university, we found ourselves in a comfortable place financially. We decided to make the most of it by fulfilling our shared passion for travel. Exploring new places together became our favorite hobby. From breathtaking beaches to bustling cities, we soaked in the beauty of different cultures and landscapes. As a couple, we knew we didn't want children, and that decision brought us even closer. While others might question or pressure us about it, we stood firm in our choice, knowing that it was the right one for us. Our childless life allowed us the freedom to pursue our dreams and passion without the responsibilities of parenthood. We dedicated ourselves to each other and our relationship, and that brought us immense joy. Life was seemingly perfect, and for almost a decade, we basked in the happiness of our love. Of course, like any couple, we had our share of disagreements and challenges, but we always found a way to work through them. 10 long years after the day Amanda gave birth to Luke's child, my mom reached out to me, delivering unexpected news. Amanda wanted to reconnect with me. We had a lengthy conversation, and she told me that Amanda and Luke were still together. Part of me was in pain, but curiosity and nostalgia tugged at my heartstrings. Still, this brought back so much trauma to me. I wanted to say yes, but I couldn't do that to myself. I told my mom that I didn't want to talk to them still. My mom didn't take it well. She called me selfish, demanding that I reconcile with Amanda and Luke for the sake of the family. It turned out that while I was away, Luke's brother started dating my sister. It was a really small town, and everyone just knew each other like that. Since Luke's brother and my sister were planning their own marriage, Luke and I would soon become in-laws. It really felt like everyone in my past would be forever bonded with my family now. It was a heavy burden to bear. The pressure from my mom made me feel trapped between my emotions and my duty to keep the family harmony intact. In a moment of weakness, I gave in and agreed to reconnect with Amanda and Luke. I hoped that perhaps time had changed them and we could find a way to heal old wounds. But before I could fully commit to the idea, fate threw another curveball my way. I bumped into James, Amanda's ex-boyfriend in college. It was a strange coincidence, and we decided to grab a coffee and catch up. Over the course of our conversation, James revealed something that left me utterly shocked. He had gone no contact with Amanda for a while after their breakup, but he had always been burdened by the sadness of her pregnancy being terminated. I was shocked. She never aborted the pregnancy. James was adamant that the pregnancy was what broke them up. They were in love, but he didn't want to deal with the responsibility of a child, not at that age. The weight of that revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. I had been kept in the dark about so much back then, and it made me question everything once more. I told James that Amanda had never gone through with the abortion and she had given birth to a healthy baby. James was completely in shock. He didn't even know that Amanda was a mom. I realized that Amanda had been sleeping with both him and Luke around that time. Since James had run away from the responsibility, Amanda chose to frame it all on Luke. My emotions spiraled into chaos, torn between sympathy for James and disbelief at Amanda's actions. It was a bitter pill to swallow. We had all been manipulated and deceived, and the thought of reconnecting with Amanda and Luke now felt even more daunting. How could I trust them again after all the lies? I needed time to process everything. I told James that I needed to sort out my feelings before making any decisions. He understood and encouraged me to take all the time I needed. The truth had come to light, and it was time to confront the past with a newfound sense of strength and clarity. I picked up the phone to call my mom, telling her that I had agreed to reconnect with Luke and Amanda at the upcoming family gathering. Everyone would be there: Luke's family, Amanda's parents, and of course, Amanda's daughter. I started to plan what was going to happen. As the day of the family gathering approached, I wrestled with conflicting emotions. Meeting Amanda after all those years was nerve-wracking, but I wanted to confront her face to face and seek closure. To bolster my resolve, I secretly asked James to accompany me, and he agreed. He wanted to confront Amanda himself. When the day arrived, the tension in the air was palpable as everyone gathered. I could sense the discomfort and unease among us all. The weight of our shared history hung heavily over the room. That was when James and I walked in. As Amanda's eyes met James's, panic flashed across her face.
James, I didn't expect to see you here.
Well, here I am. It's time we had a serious talk, Amanda. You can't run from this any longer.
I don't know what you're talking about. Can't we just forget the past and move on?
No, Amanda. We can't move on until we address the truth. I just found out something shocking, something that changes everything.
I don't know what you're talking about, and why are you even involving yourself in my life after all these years?
Everyone was taken aback, and Luke approached Amanda to hold her, but James wasn't intimidated.
Because you lied to me, Amanda. You made me believe that you had an abortion and that we had no future together, but that was all a lie, wasn't it?
I don't want to talk about this now. It's in the past.
Amanda started to turn away. It seemed like she just wanted to be out of that room. James gently held her by the arm, holding her back. Luke was almost getting defensive, but then he heard the truth coming out of James's mouth.
No, Amanda. It's time for the truth to come out. I just learned that you gave birth to a baby, our baby, and I never even knew. How could you keep something like that from me? Wait, what did you say?
I don't know what you're talking about. Let me go. Let me go.
Amanda ran her way upstairs, locking herself in the bedroom. Everyone was perplexed. Then they turned their attention to me as if to wonder if I was in all of this mess. It was a difficult and emotional confrontation. James and I sat down to explain the situation to them. I urged them to talk to Amanda and let the child take a paternity test to reveal the truth once and for all. After hours of knocking on Amanda's door, she stubbornly refused, digging her heels into her web of lies. Her reluctance only strengthened James's belief in what he had suspected all along. With emotions running high, the truth couldn't be hidden any longer. Luke and Amanda's marriage began to crumble under the weight of the revelations. In the end, they decided to get a divorce, severing the last thread that bound them together. As the test came back, it turned out that the girl was indeed James's child. It was heartbreaking to see the look on Luke's face when the results was turned in. James and Luke sat down with each other to talk through everything just to make sure their child has the best support from both sides. Despite the chaos and heartache, Luke was still granted custody of the child as Amanda was too unstable to take care of anyone but herself after what happened. George and I still visited Luke often, offering support with bringing up Amanda's child. Luke profusely apologized to me so many times about what happened to us in college. It was forever ago and I had George now, so I agreed to forgive him. Plus, the child was innocent. She deserved the best things growing up because she didn't do anything wrong. Luckily, James was also present in her life. He would pick her up during the weekends just to take her to parks and spend time with her. It was an arrangement that worked for all of us. In stark contrast, Amanda's life took a downward spiral. For starters, she never apologized for anything she did.
It also seemed like she didn't even care about her own child's well being because Amanda never even asked about her. The consequences of her actions caught up with her, leaving her in a state of isolation. I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness for her, but I also knew that I needed to prioritize my own well being and the happiness of the child who had been caught in the midst of the chaos. As the years passed, the wounds began to heal. Though the scars remained, the journey wasn't easy, but it taught me invaluable lessons about the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the darkness of the past, I found myself in moving forward, cherishing the present and building a better future for myself and my loved ones.
Are you saying you don't want to help my father anymore after everything he's done for you? You're so ungrateful. We took you in when you had nothing and now this is how you repay us?
That's not what I meant. I just think we need to find a way to manage it without compromising our financial stability.
Alright, I guess we'll just let my father die of sickness because Miss Breadwinner here doesn't want to pay for his medicines anymore. Why not just grab a knife and put his life to an end yourself? Is the same anyway. You're just boastful and arrogant. I knew you couldn't handle it mentally. That's why I didn't want you to accept that job in the first place. But no, things have to always go your way.
Hi, I'm Anna, 32, and let me tell you about the lives that were ruined just because of a simple job offer. It all started when my heart was racing with excitement as I opened the email on my laptop. It was a golden ticket to my dream job, a role that I had worked tirelessly for and had been yearning to grab with both hands. The email bore a salary that surpassed even my husband Jack's current earnings, a prospect that both thrilled and daunted me. For months, I poured my heart and soul into this job hunt. I polished my resume, meticulously crafted cover letters, and tailored each application to perfection. Countless late nights were spent honing my skills and preparing for interviews, sharpening my strengths and working on my weaknesses. As the days turned into weeks, my phone became my closest ally, buzzing with notifications from potential employers. Rejections were tough and ever heartbreaking, but I looked at them not as failures, but as stepping stones towards my ultimate goal. Each interview, whether successful or not, offered valuable insights that I used to help me grow. Throughout this journey, Jack had been my confidant and supposed supporter, but as the job offers started to pour in, I noticed how his demeanor changed. Underneath the "you can do it" facade, I sensed simmering jealousy and insecurity. He had always taken pride in being the primary breadwinner, and I fear that my newfound success threatened his dominance. One evening, I couldn't contain my excitement any longer and eagerly shared the news of my dream job offer with Jack. I hoped to see his eyes light up with joy and pride for me, but instead, an eerie silence enveloped the room. I bounced into the living room where Jack was chilling on the couch watching some TV show. "Hey, babe, can I talk to you for a moment?"
Sure, what's up?
"I got a job offer and it's my dream job."
Yeah, no, don't take that job. Reject it and forget about it.
"What? What do you mean? You know I can't just let this opportunity slip away."
I believe that the man of the household should take care of the finances, and I don't want you to work.
"That's not really a fair judgment, dear. I'm going to accept it no matter what you say. Plus, have you seen the salary they're offering? You can't just pass up an offer with that kind of amount."
Wow, so you're really going to take a job that pays more than me?
Jack's rage was beyond reason, and before I knew it, he snatched my laptop from the table and hurled it against the wall. At that moment, I felt torn between my dreams and the man I loved. I couldn't understand why he couldn't rejoice in my success, just as I had always celebrated his achievements. As the shattered pieces of my laptop lay scattered on the floor, the room fell into an uneasy silence. My eyes were filled with tears. "Jack, why are you so angry? This job offer is a huge deal for me. It's my dream job, and I want to pursue it."
You know exactly why I'm angry, Anna. Why can't you just stay at home like the other woman? It's like you're rubbing it on my face that you are way better than me.
But it's not about that, Jack. I thought you'd be happy for me. We're a team, and we should support each other's dreams and successes.
A team? How can we be a team when you're making more money than me? Is what I'm earning not enough? It's so emasculating. You're supposed to be my wife, not my competition.
I never intended to hurt his pride or make him feel inadequate. All I wanted was his love and support. Jack, my salary has nothing to do with how much I love or value you. It's just, I have been wanting this job ever since I was a little girl. Why are you acting this way anyway? When I was still and jobless and applying, you were so supportive of me. Now that I got it, you're being like that?
That's because I didn't think someone would actually hire you.
I wanted to cry at this moment, but I tried to remain patient with Jack as he took his moment to collect his thoughts. I get it, Jack, but we need to approach this logically and consider all the possibilities. With this salary, we could pay off our loans faster, save for our future, and even help your parents if they needed. Jack seemed to calm down and consider my words.
Okay then, let's agree on a 80-20 split.
That wasn't that bad until I realized he's actually proposing the other way around, that I would be the one to take the smaller share of my hard-earned salary. It stung a little, but I still accepted this agreement since it meant I could still pursue my dream job, and maybe I could renegotiate in the future once Jack had time to adjust to our new dynamic. Okay, Jack, I agree to the 80-20 split for now. If things go well, we can revisit this later. As the months passed, I faithfully kept my promise to contribute to Jack's father's monthly allowance solely after being told that their mother-in-law didn't accept it since she didn't need it. However, the financial burden was starting to take a toll on me. My once thriving savings were depleting rapidly, and I hadn't spent a dime on myself since accepting my dream job. The situation became increasingly challenging as Jack's father kept asking for more and more, claiming that his illness required additional medications and treatments. One evening, as I reviewed our finances, I couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. I knew supporting Jack's father was essential, but I also needed to find a balance for my own well-being. I decided to discuss my concerns with Jack, hoping he would understand. Jack, we need to talk.
What's up?
It's about your father's monthly allowance. I want to continue supporting him, but it's putting a strain on our finances. I think we need to reevaluate the situation and find a more sustainable solution.
Are you saying you don't want to help my father anymore after everything is done for you? You're so ungrateful. We took you in when you had nothing, and now this is how you repay us?
That's not what I meant. I just think we need to find a way to manage it without compromising our financial stability.
Alright, I guess we'll just let my father die of sickness because Miss Breadwinner here doesn't want to pay for his medications anymore. Why not just grab a knife and put his life to an end yourself? It's the same anyway.
My heart sank at his accusations, knowing it couldn't be further from the truth. Jack, that's not true at all. It's just that I haven't spent anything on myself since I started working. I'm grateful for everything you and your family have done for me, but I'm having a hard time with our finances.
You're just boastful and arrogant. I knew you couldn't handle it mentally. That's why I didn't want you to accept that job in the first place. But no, things have to go your way.
Jack stormed out fast. I remained silent and didn't stop from walking away from our conversation because I know it will just feel like talking to a wall. After that heated argument with Jack, I needed a moment to clear my head and escape from the suffocating tension in our home. So I slipped on my jacket and decided to take a walk to get some fresh air. As I wandered through the neighborhood, my heart skipped a beat when I saw my father-in-law, Emmanuel, walking down the street energetically like he's full of excitement. Wasn't he supposed to be weak and fragile due to his supposed illness? I decided to approach him. Mr. Emmanuel, is that you? As soon as he heard my voice, Emmanuel quickly changed his behavior from lively to sickly one. He slouched his back, rubbed his sore muscles, and coughed loudly. What are you doing outside? You should be at home getting some rest.
Oh, just needed some fresh air. You should go now.
As I tried to continue the conversation, my attention was diverted by a commotion coming from a nearby strip club. A young woman stepped outside, calling out loudly. There he is! Here comes our big spender! My eyes widened in disbelief as the realization dawned on me. Emmanuel had been spending the money he received for his supposed medical expenses at the strip club all along. I felt so used and dumb. Emmanuel's face grew pale with embarrassment and panic. Just as he was about to mumble an excuse, I heard my husband's voice calling out to him from a short distance away.
Dad, hurry up. It's about to start. Your favorite dancer is waiting for you.
Jack's voice trailed off as he turned the corner and saw me standing there. I stood there in shock, my heart sinking as I realized the full extent of the deception. Both Jack and Emmanuel had been using my hard-earned money for their infidelity. They had been lying to me all along when I tried my hardest to consider their concerns. What is this, Jack? You too?
Anna, I can explain.
Explain? How could you do this to me? I trusted you, Jack. I didn't keep a single penny to myself just for you and your dad.
I know, it's just that things got out of hand and I didn't know how to tell you.
So you thought lying and using my money behind my back was the answer? You thought I wouldn't find out?
Hey, you're supposed to be at home anyway, managing our finances. Why are you here? Why are you outside as well? Were you trying to see other men? See, we're the same. Don't act innocent here.
I'm just outside because of all the hurtful things you have said and accused me of just earlier. I needed a breath of fresh air so I wouldn't explode from your immaturity. Don't try to twist things around.
This is your fault anyway. You're always working and you never have time for me. Maybe if you were at home more, you could have attended to my needs and this wouldn't have happened. I'm just a man.
That's because I had to work hard for us, Jack. You kept asking for more money, and naturally I had to work overtime to meet your demands. I can't believe you're trying to pin this all on me. I won't listen to any more excuses. You need to take responsibility for your own actions, just like I'm taking responsibility for my decision to leave. With tears in my eyes, I walked away, leaving Jack and Emmanuel behind. In the days that followed the confrontation, I decided to have a heart-to-heart conversation with my mother-in-law, Carol. It turns out she also didn't know her husband's shenanigans. Carol, I'm just calling to inform you that I'm divorcing your son, Jack. I caught him and Mr. Emmanuel at this strip club, and they used up all of my money, saying it was for Mr. Emmanuel's medicine, and I just can't take it anymore. Wait, what? Did you say strip club, dear? No, that can't be true. Emmanuel wouldn't do something like that. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't you know about that? I wish it weren't true, but I saw it with my own eyes. I caught them red-handed. I'm sorry, Carol. I am divorcing Emmanuel as well. I was shocked by her sudden decision. I'm too old to deal with this kind of immaturity. I can't deny that I'm getting too old, and I can't waste my remaining years with a man that doesn't love me. I respected her decision. It's her life and choice after all. I also felt a sense of relief knowing that I wasn't alone in this situation. Carol's support meant the world to me, and together we decided to take the necessary steps to end our marriages. As the time went on, a strange twist of fate seemed to unfold. It turns out that claiming that you have a sickness, even though you are perfectly healthy, can attract a kind of bad juju that made a person's words come true. So Jack and Emmanuel actually experienced health issues and started struggling for real. They got a mysterious illness with chronic fatigue, constant headaches, and unexplained pain in various parts of their body. Still, they both continued their visits to the strip club. However, Jack and Emmanuel weren't aware that the women they had been having fun with were skilled con artists that orchestrated a scheme to scam the two. Knowing they were easy targets, lots of women showered them with attention, manipulated them into spending large sums, and ghosted them after making them believe that they were genuinely interested in forming a connection with them. Jack and Emmanuel were left alone with drained money after those women played on their vulnerabilities and insecurities and exploited their desire for validation and affection. Divorced, sick, and scammed, Jack and Emmanuel were left with no money to pay for their actual medical treatment and medication. They were left in a dire predicament because of their own lies. They had nothing but despair and regret on their shoulders. Carol and I decided to stay firm with our decision to distance ourselves from the men who had betrayed our trust. With our minds and hearts free from deception, we got to support each other through the challenges and started to rebuild our lives with newfound strength. The strip club may have been the backdrop of our husband's betrayal, but for Carol and I, it became a symbol of our freedom. Who would have known that a strip club would become the ultimate karma headquarters?
Oh, Edward, you let your parents use me. You stole my safe. You lied to me. And you disappeared without a trace. But did you even check inside the safe before committing a crime?
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't steal anything from you.
Cut the act. I know you took it, but guess what? There is no money in that safe.
What? No money? But I thought you said you had savings in there.
I did say that, didn't I? But I replaced the money with something far more valuable. My name is Mary. I am 58 years old and I have always loved saving money. It all started when my mom opened a savings account for me as a kid, and I got hooked on watching the numbers in my passbook grow. So I diligently saved bit by bit, starting with just $1. Seeing my savings grow by a few cents in interest each year always brought a delightful surprise to my younger self. Soon enough, my interest in finance grew to be my career. At the age of 27, I started working as a financial planner and giving people advice on asset management. One day, a friend from college asked me to help an old childhood friend named Edward, who was in serious trouble due to gambling and his parents' debt. I agreed to meet him and see how I could assist. When I met Edward, I couldn't help but be charmed by his handsome looks and refreshing smile. He was really honest with me from the start. He came from a very problematic family. Both of his parents were having a gambling problem and he was burdened with their debt. I gladly offered him my advice. I never expected that would lead to something more. But life has a funny way of surprising us. As time went by, I found myself drawn to Edward's vulnerability and honesty. Despite his troubles, there was a spark in his eyes that showed he genuinely wanted to change his life and support his parents. He didn't try to hide anything. I admired his courage to open up about his struggles, and it made me want to help him even more. As I started giving him advice on how to consolidate his debts and reduce his monthly payments, we spent more time together. I found myself looking forward to our meetings and enjoying his company. There was something about him that made me feel comfortable and at ease. Our friendship grew stronger, and I found myself thinking about him even when we weren't together. I admired his determination to improve his life, and it inspired me to support him wholeheartedly. Gradually, my feelings for Edward started to change. I couldn't deny the fact that I was falling for him. His caring nature and genuine personality drew me in, and I realized that I wanted to be more than just a friend to him. It wasn't easy to admit my feelings, especially considering the circumstances, but I took a leap of faith and told him how I felt. To my surprise, he confessed that he felt the same way. It was as if a weight had been lifted off my shoulders and a newfound happiness filled my heart. Our relationship blossomed from there, and we became inseparable. Edward's smile became my favorite sight, and his presence brought me comfort and joy. We laughed together, shared our dreams, and supported each other through both the good times and the challenging ones. Falling in love with Edward was unexpected, and it happened so naturally, and I had let my guard down. Despite opposition from some of my friends, we got married, hoping that together we could face Edward's debt. My income was good for my age group, so most of Edward's earnings went toward his debt, while I provided for both of us. I didn't mind at first because I really trusted Edward. Years went by and we gradually reduced Edward's debt to about $20,000. It was a significant achievement and I was proud of our progress. We even had a son named Max, who had inherited his father's looks and charm. He was my pride and joy, but I couldn't help but notice that he also picked up on Edward's lack of discipline and indecisiveness. On the other hand, Edward was changing in a way that I couldn't empathize with. It seemed like his constant conflict with his parents had somehow worn him down, and he had lost his determination to change his life somewhere along the way. Edward would occasionally borrow money from predatory lenders and try to trick friends into lending him money. But I kept a close eye on him and managed to keep him in line as best as I could. As time passed, my in-laws' financial situation worsened, and they started asking Edward for more money again. It seemed like they were struggling to make ends meet, which I found really odd. I told him that I couldn't stand this situation for much longer. I couldn't be the only person who wanted to save money and change their lives for the better. Edward and his parents needed to have that determination themselves. And so, Edward decided to stop providing for his parents to prevent the debt from increasing further. To be fair, I didn't think it was such a big problem. Edward's parents ran a small grocery store, and I knew that if they just set their minds to it, they would be able to pay off the $20,000 debt in a year or so. I supported Edward's decision. It really brought us some peace. But little did I know that it would also lead to new problems. My in-laws didn't take the cut ties lightly and started blaming Edward for being ungrateful and not repaying their debts. The situation was really tense. One day, Edward's mom called me on the phone with the most catty attitude. "Hello?"
Oh, Marie, glad I have you on the phone.
Hi, Janet. How have you been?
Let's just skip all the small talk, shall we? Don't you have anything to say to me to my face, huh?
Is everything okay? Are you talking about what happened with Edward? I know it's been hard for everyone, but I hope we can discuss this calmly.
Calmly? How can I be calm when my own son has abandoned us?
Janet, Edward didn't abandon you. He made a difficult decision because we couldn't bear the constant demands for money.
Oh, and it's all your doing, isn't it? I knew it. You have always been controlling him and whispering things in his ear.
Janet, that's not true. I have been very supportive of Edward.
Supporting him? I bet you just wanted him to get rid of his responsibilities towards us so that you could keep all his money for yourself.
That's not fair. I've worked hard to help Edward pay off his debts. We have been through a lot.
You think you know challenges? You have no idea what it's like to struggle like I do.
I understand that it's been tough for you. But Edward can't keep giving you money indefinitely. He needs to take care of his own family now, and that includes our son.
You're brainwashing him, I know it. He would never have done this if it weren't for you.
Please, Janet, stop with the accusations. Edward is an adult, and he made this decision on his own. I didn't force him into anything. I don't believe you. You've always wanted to control him and take advantage of him. That's not true. Well, it's clear that he's changed. He used to be so caring and considerate of us, and now he's just cold and distant. I blame you for all of this. Janet, I hope you can find it in your heart to understand and forgive him. He loves you, but he also needs to take care of his own family now. I don't want to listen to your lecture, Mary. I'm done with you now. At least I know who you truly are. And just like that, my mother-in-law hung up the phone. Both of my parents-in-law refused to talk to me unless I apologized. But I didn't think I did anything wrong. I was just protecting myself and the future of my own kid. But the drama certainly did not end there. As a matter of fact, things got only worse and worse. One day, something truly terrible happened. My father-in-law collapsed and Edward rushed to the hospital to be with his parents. Turns out he had a stroke, which could have been fatal if he wasn't brought to the hospital in time. Edward decided to provide for his parents once again, and he messaged me about the situation. Edward apologized for breaking our promise of not giving them money. He was torn between supporting his parents and staying true to our agreement. I understood his predicament and supported him in providing some financial assistance for his dad's medical bills. After all, they were still his family, but it hurt me to see him going back on our promise, especially after all the hard work we put into reducing their debt. Of course, I also made it clear to Edward that the incident provided more reasons for his parents to start saving. They are getting older and their health was at risk. Edward agreed to have a proper conversation with them. Soon it was time for Max to go off to high school. He had always been a very gifted kid, so I tried to send him to the best school we could afford. Max was really ambitious, just like I was when I was his age. He had expressed his wish to study abroad in Europe multiple times to us, but we weren't sure if we could afford that with everything that had been going on. Well, to be fair, Edward wasn't sure. I had always been very prepared in that regard. One day, Edward sat me down so we could talk about Max's future.
Hey, Mary, can we talk for a moment?
Of course, Edward. What's on your mind?
Well, I've been thinking about Max's future, and I was wondering if we could afford to send him to college.
Listen, Edward, I have actually been saving up specifically for his education for a long time now.
Oh, how come I never knew about this?
I just know you have a lot on your plate, at least financially, but look, I have around $200,000 in savings that we can use for that.
Oh, that's good to know. I just want to make sure he has the best opportunities, you know.
I understand, Edward. We both want what's best for Max, and I'm glad we can support him through college.
You know, it's great that you have been so responsible with our finances, Mary.
Well, it's been a passion of mine, and I wanted to ensure we have a secure future for ourselves and Max.
Mary, do you keep your passbook and cash in the safe?
Yes. Why do you ask?
Oh, no reason. It's just that I was wondering if we could use the safe for something else.
Something else? Like what?
Oh, you know, just thinking about some personal stuff. Don't worry about it.
Okay, is everything alright?
Everything's fine, Mary. Don't worry too much.
I had a very uneasy feeling after that conversation, but I didn't know why. Edward seemed really sneaky for the next few days, trying to walk by whenever I had a reason to open my safe. It was as if he wanted to check if I really had the money in there. I should have known better by that point, but I didn't want to believe in my gut feeling. Soon, I found out that Edward was really up to no good. Just a few days later, I woke up to an eerily empty house. I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease creeping in. Max had already left for school, but there was no sign of Edward. Normally, he would have been in the kitchen, brewing coffee and humming a tune, but today, there was silence. As I walked around the house, the realization slowly sunk in. My safe was also missing. Panic surged through me as questions flooded my mind. What had happened? Where could Edward have gone with the safe? Had he taken all my savings? I tried calling Edward repeatedly, but he didn't answer. Each ring echoed through the empty rooms, mocking my desperation. The calls to my in-laws were met with the same silence. They weren't picking up either. It was as if they had all vanished into thin air. Then I saw divorce papers lying on the kitchen counter. Edward had already signed. Fear and confusion gripped my heart as I clung to the hope that it was all a misunderstanding. I decided to go to the hospital where my father had allegedly been admitted. It was the only lead I had at that moment. My mind raced with thoughts of possible scenarios as I drove there, my heart pounding in my chest. Upon arrival at the hospital, I rushed to the reception desk and asked about my father-in-law. To my shock, the receptionist informed me that there was no record of him being admitted. It was like a punch to the gut. They had lied to me. My hands trembled as I called the police, my voice shaky as I explained the situation. I knew I had to report Edward's disappearance and the missing safe. The police assured me that they would look into the matter and do everything they could to catch him. Then I texted Edward. "How is it going in Texas?"
Wait, what?
What? You think I wouldn't know where you are, hubby?
What the hell is going on? What do you know?
Oh, I know exactly where you are, Edward, but I'm not going to tell you how. Not yet.
What do you mean? This isn't funny, Mary. Where are you?
Oh, but Edward, I thought you were the one who likes surprises. I've got a surprise for you.
This isn't time for games, Mary. Tell me where you are now.
No, Edward, you don't deserve to know. You don't deserve anything from me after what you have done.
What are you talking about? I haven't done anything.
Oh, Edward, you have done plenty. You let your parents use me. You stole my savings. You lied to me, and you disappeared without a trace. But did you even check inside the safe before committing a crime?
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't steal anything from you.
Cut the act. I know you took it. But guess what? There's no money in that safe.
What? No money? But I thought you said you had savings in there.
I did say that, didn't I? But I replaced the money with something far more valuable. A tracker.
Wait, what?
The police are already on their way. They're going to put you in jail.
Wait, no. This is not supposed to happen.
I gave you chances, but you just kept letting me down.
Mary, please don't do this. I'll change. I'll do better. Just give me another chance.
I have given you enough chances, Edward, and now it's time for you to face the consequences of your actions.
Please, Mary, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just looking out for my parents.
And not me? Not your child? You're a horrible, horrible human being. You deserve this.
No, Mary, please. I can't go to jail.
Goodbye, Edward. The police promptly found Edward and his parents hiding away in Texas with my safe in their hands. Multiple investigations were conducted. They later discovered that Edward's parents were complicit in the deception. All this time, they had been spending money on illegal gambling. The story about the stroke had been a ploy to gain sympathy and extract even more money from me. In the aftermath, Edward and his parents were arrested for their involvement in illegal gambling and fraudulent behavior. It was a painful realization that the man I once loved had been leading a double life behind my back. The legal battle was tough, and Edward had to pay for both child support and a settlement for the debts he had incurred over the years. Amidst the chaos, I found solace in my friends and family who supported me through the challenging times. They reminded me that I was not at fault for Edward's choices and that I deserved better. Their love and encouragement gave me the strength to move forward. Slowly but surely, I began to rebuild my life. It wasn't easy, but I was determined not to let this dark chapter define me. I focused on my career, nurturing my passions, and fostering meaningful relationships with those who truly cared for me. Most importantly, I forgave myself for having trusted Edward. In hindsight, there were so many red flags, but I was truly blinded by love. I owned up to my mistake and set out to help other women make better financial decisions. My son Max soon went abroad for college, but he still visited me occasionally and updated me on his life and his new girlfriend. It was heartwarming to see him happy, and I couldn't help but smile whenever he shared his stories. As I moved forward, I decided to start a new bank book and continue my passion for saving money. It had always brought me joy, and now I would focus on myself and my own happiness. Looking back, I realized that I had been putting others before myself for far too long. It was time to live for me, to cherish my own happiness, and to let go of the past that had held me back for so many years. My life may have taken unexpected turns, but now I was the one in control and I was the happiest I had ever been.
My husband is the kindest person I have known. He is the epitome of selflessness and compassion. He always thinks of others before himself, and that is his best quality. On top of that, that is the reason why I fell in love with him. He became my rock, cornerstone, and anchor during the tough times of my life, and I was with him as well. In the first months of our dating phase, my husband, aka my former boyfriend, during that time was very vocal about his problems with his family. His dad passed away when he was young, making him forced to be an adult and be his family's breadwinner. His mother was ill while his younger brother was a headache. I got to know his family more because I helped them more often. I would take my husband's mother to the hospital, and I would even shoulder the hospital bills. I admit that I'm not well off, but I'm willing to extend help for my husband's family. I was a primary witness to how hardworking my husband Stephen was. He dropped out of college just to provide for his family. Meanwhile, his brother is a complete jerk. He forced his brother to send him to a prestigious school that cost beyond their monthly income and budget. His brother Joe was a spoiled brat, and their mother wanted him to be in that school. That is why my husband sacrificed his studies just to send his brother to that high-end university. I saw my husband cry every night. I saw him work hard from 4 in the morning. I witnessed how he single-handedly paid all the needed bills in their house, but his mother and brother were ungrateful. They even condemned Stephen for providing little, and they would always insult him. There were times that I wanted to talk back to them just to defend my husband, but Stephen, with his kind and humble heart, told me not to. My heart breaks for him. I wanted to protect him from all the harshness of this world, especially from his own family. They were toxic and unhealthy for him, and he doesn't deserve to feel all of this. I could still remember that one night when we were still dating, he broke down in tears. He just went from an argument with his brother who insulted him so much. Even I was stunned to speak because I don't know what to say. I was taken aback by everything that Joe threw at Stephen. The scene was still vivid in my mind. My husband was sitting on the couch, his face etched with exhaustion and sadness. It was evident that he was tired from his 3 part-time jobs at the car wash, fast food restaurant, and convenience store. Meanwhile, Joe went home drunk, approached him with a fist and a malicious grin on his face. He gave off a mocking grin towards his brother.
Well, look at you, Stephen. Can't even stand up for yourself, can you? What a pathetic excuse for a man.
Stephen remained silent, his eyes downcasted, struggling to hold back tears. He knew all too well that his brother will hurt him again. I was about to meddle, but Joe looked at me angrily.
Don't even step inside this argument, Annie, or I'll hurt your boyfriend.
He laughed mockingly.
It's no wonder Annie chosen you for a boyfriend. She couldn't do any better, could she? You're just a burden dragging her down.
Stephen clenched his fists, his knuckles turning white, but he remained silent, refusing to give Joe the satisfaction of a response.
What's the matter, Stephen? Cat got your tongue? Or are you finally realizing how worthless you truly are? I want to be in that school. And you will do everything to get me inside. I don't care if you'll go ill like our mother. Just don't die, okay? Don't die until you get me inside that school. Am I clear?
He stomped his feet and kicked Stephen's seat. Stephen's shoulders shuddered, his silent tears flowing freely now. He tried to maintain his composure, but Joe's hurtful words continued to chip away at his fragile emotional state. After that commotion, Joe walked away and even pushed a vase to the ground, breaking it into pieces, and as soon as he was out of the picture, I walked towards Stephen, my eyes filled with concern as I saw him sitting on his seat crying so hard, his head buried in his hands. My love, I'm here. Do not worry, I will never leave you. Stephen looked up at me, tears staining his face, and he struggled to speak.
I don't understand him. He has always said such terrible things, Annie. I couldn't defend myself. It hurts.
My eyes flashed with anger and empathy. I wanted to hurt Joe to defend Stephen, but I just couldn't. I'm so useless. I talked to Stephen, and my voice filled with determination. Stephen, you are not what he says. You are strong, kind, and deserving of love and respect. I won't let his words define you. We will face this together. I held his hands tightly. Stephen found solace in my words, his tears gradually subsiding as he realizes he is not alone in this battle against Joe's cruelty. It even became worse when Joe had a car accident and he was the suspect of the crime. He recklessly drove his friend's car while he was drunk, and what's worse is that he did it on purpose. He banged on another car and even tried to walk away with it. But the police officer nearby was able to track him down and send him to jail. His offense was the worst thing. He has violation for driving without license, drunk driving, stealing the car, and for intentionally crashing the other car. We have to bail him out of prison because he was starting to get hysterical. When we visited him, he almost punched Stephen, and good thing I was able to stop him. We don't have that much money because even I was struggling with my tuition. But Joe was threatening to do something bad if he won't be out of jail. He pressured Stephen into taking him out, and Stephen was already working triple the efforts just to fund his more than $100 bail. I pity Stephen so much. I was so eager to help him, that's why I decided to make a sacrifice. I withdrew my student loan and used it as bail. In result to that, I dropped out of my pre-law bachelor's degree and gave up on my dreams because of his cruel brother. I couldn't stand him tormenting the life of Stephen. I wanted to stop so badly, and it's the only way, hence I did. I bailed him out, and he was not even grateful for what I did. But then again, we persevered. We decided to get married, hoping that we will get away from the evil grip of Joe. However, after our wedding, another problem arises. When Stephen's mother's condition worsened, she was rushed to the hospital. She was hospitalized for almost 2 months, and Stephen didn't stop working just to provide and sustain all of their needs. I wanted to help them out. That's why I worked part-time as a clerk in the law firm, even though I wasn't able to finish my bachelor's degree. With the little salary that I have, I did my best to contribute for the greater good for everyone. But Joe was still selfish. He got out of jail, but got expelled from that prestigious school he was so eager to get into. It felt like all of his brother's efforts were put to waste. And I pity my husband so much because everything he did is for his family, and he is not even appreciated and valued just the way he deserves. On top of that, Joe has once again bothered us. He wanted to have an allowance from his brother, but we are even struggling to make ends meet. I have always thought that everything would change once we get married, but here we are again, still entangled in a web of deceit and betrayal, with my brother in law Joe at the center. I couldn't wrap my head around how shitty and bad Joe is. I knew for sure that he had always been the black sheep of the family. Stephen had warned me about his troublesome ways, but I had always hoped that things would be different. We were still dating that time, and the trauma that I felt from him was beyond the moon already. But it gets worse now. Unfortunately, Joe seemed to harbor a deep resentment towards me, constantly belittling me and mocking my lack of education. His insults pierced my heart, leaving a lasting scar on my self-esteem. Does he forget that it is because of him I was not able to continue my college education? Because I have to help him get bailed out? He was not even my brother, nor was he even good to me. I did it for the love and concern that I have for my husband. I yearned for acceptance and understanding, but Joe's words only fueled the fire of inadequacy within me. His condescending remarks stung, but I refused to let them define me. This time around, I became his new target. He stopped pestering my husband because it is now my turn to put up with his ugly attitude. But instead of dealing with his insults, I poured my energy into supporting Stephen, being his pillar of strength as we navigate through life together. I could still remember that one time when he insulted me so badly just because I wasn't able to prepare food for him. Am I his maid to begin with? He's such an egoistic man. I stood in the living room, my arms crossed, as Joe loomed over me with a smug expression on his face. Well, look who it is. The woman who wouldn't even effort to go to college. What a waste you are. My jaw tightens, my eyes burning with anger, but I remain silent, refusing to give Joe the satisfaction of a response. I bet Stephen regrets marrying someone like you. No ambition, no intelligence, just a burden on his shoulders. My hands clenched into fists, my nails digging into my palms as I fought to control my rising anger. I wanted to slap him so badly and remind him of the length of the sacrifices I did for him. And this is all he's gonna pay me? Face it, Annie, you'll never be more than what you are now, a pathetic, uneducated nobody. Says the one who got expelled from the university and a criminal. I wanted to shout these words at him just to humble him from his arrogance. But my silence became my shield, my determination growing stronger with every insult thrown my way. Though my anger simmers beneath the surface, I knew that responding with words would only fuel Joe's cruel intentions. He smirked at me and then left me standing there full of rage and anger. Then I went to the kitchen to ease my system, my mind racing with a mixture of anger and frustration. Stephen entered, noticing my agitation. My love, what's wrong? You seem really upset. I took a deep breath, struggling to maintain my composure. It's Joe, my love. The things he said, they cut deep. But I won't let his words define me. I won't stoop to his level. My husband reached out, gently taking my hand in his. I understand how hurtful his words can be. But remember, you are so much more than what he thinks. Your strength and resilience are unmatched. Don't let him diminish your worth. My anger subsided, replacing by a renewed sense of determination. I squeezed Stephen's hand, drawing strength from his unwavering support. You're right, my love. I won't let Joe's words get to me. I'll prove him wrong through my actions and success. My husband smiled, proud of my resilience, as we stood together ready to face challenges ahead and rise above Joe's hurtful insults. And I am so glad and grateful that my husband never left me and confided in me. One fateful day, our lives took an unexpected turn. As I went home from work, I almost collapsed with the scene that I saw. My husband was lying on the ground with bruises all over his body. I immediately ran towards him and checked him. My hands were shaking as I touched his unconscious body. I looked for his pulse and I heaved a sigh because it is still beating. He was brutally attacked and left paralyzed. It felt like my world shattered as I witnessed the man I loved being reduced to a state of helplessness. The shock of the incident left me numb. I immediately called for the ambulance and he was rushed to the hospital. Amidst the chaos, Joe mysteriously disappeared. It seemed as though he had vanished into thin air. As I stood by Stephen's side grappling with the enormity of the situation, I couldn't help but wonder about Joe's sudden absence. Was it mere coincidence, or did he have a hand in Stephen's assault? The unanswered questions gnawed at me, urging me to dig deeper and uncover the truth. But I knew deep down that he did this. Determined to help Stephen recover, I took on the role of his caregiver, guiding him through the arduous process of rehabilitation. As I supported him physically and emotionally, a spark ignited within me, urging me to seek justice for my husband's suffering. I realized that education was not a prerequisite for fighting for what is right. I also tirelessly looked for Joe. I want to ask him straight into his eyes on why he did that to his brother. He gave up everything for him, and all he did to repay him was just horrible things. With each passing day, as I witnessed Stephen's determination and resilience, my own resolve grew stronger. I wanted to understand the truth behind his attack and ensure that the person responsible faced the consequences of their actions. Driven by a newfound purpose, I decided to pursue my law degree. It's been 5 years since the incident happened, and my husband is now recovering. Balancing my responsibilities as a caregiver and a student proved to be a challenge, but I was determined to overcome any obstacle that came my way. Countless sleepless nights and relentless studying became my companions as I delved into the intricacies of the legal world. As my legal knowledge grew, so did my thirst for the truth. Digging deep into Stephen's attack, I stumbled upon a shocking revelation. It was Joe who had beaten him. There was a man that came to me. He was Joe's friend, and his guilt brought him to serve justice. When he knew about it, me being Joe's sister-in-law, he handed me a voice recording during the night that Joe beated my husband. Joe was drunk while talking to the guy, narrating him all the details of his actions. He just felt like taking a voice record of it because he knew that Joe must be punished. Anger and disbelief coursed through my veins, but I channeled my emotions into building a strong case against him. Everything fell into place. The time that I received the recording was also the time of my graduation. I took the licensure exam and I became a full-fledged lawyer. With the evidence I had gathered, I summoned Joe to court. The moment of reckoning had arrived, and I stood before the judge and jury, ready to expose the darkness that had plagued our lives for far too long. Joe, smirking in the face of my past humiliations, mocked my pursuit of justice. Little did he know that the tides had turned, and I was armed with the knowledge to expose his dark deeds. As the courtroom proceedings unfolded, I presented evidence and testimonies that laid bare Joe's jealousy and hatred towards Stephen's life. I watched with satisfaction as the color drained from Joe's face when he saw Stephen no longer paralyzed but walking confidently into the courtroom. Fear gripped Joe's heart as he realized the consequences of his actions. In a final act of defiance, I delivered a closing statement that encapsulated the pain, suffering, and resilience my husband had endured. I painted a vivid picture of Joe's envy and how it had driven him to commit such a heinous act. The weight of my words resonated with the jury, and justice prevailed as Joe was found guilty. With the verdict, a sense of closure washed over me. My husband was finally free from the physical and emotional scars that had plagued him for so long. And I, Annie, the woman who had been insulted for her lack of education, emerged triumphant as a lawyer armed with the power to fight for justice. The journey had been long and arduous, filled with doubts and challenges, but I had persevered. The insults and challenges I faced only fueled my determination to rise above of them. My journey from victim to victor had taught me that education is not limited to formal institutions. It can be gained through life experiences and a thirst for knowledge. And in the face of adversity, true strength and justice prevailed. As Stephen and I embraced, tears of relief and happiness streamed down our faces. We had conquered the demons of the past, and together we were ready to embrace a brighter future. The scars would always remain, but they served as a constant reminder of our resilience and the power of standing up for what is right.